customer service, client satisfaction. Are your clients satisfied with what you do? Are you providing them what they need from you? Or are you just providing the product? Never mind if they do not feel satisfied with the product as long as you sell it. You give the service, you are not concerned with people being happy with your service. So you might take a look at that. Okay? Some of you are in the service at the port. Lara, your interest is providing services at the port. What particular services do you provide? Henry, translate. What particular services are you interested in the port? Do you sell food? Logistics. Oh, so you provide for the transfer of goods, delivery of goods. Speak. Use the microphone.
Is that people can understand the logistics also document for customer?
So you document, you do logistics, you document, you do transfer of goods, consumer products from the origin to the end user. You do that. Servicing at the port, and you do logistical support. When you say logistics, do you do documentation or do you actually move products from one point to another? Or you just document the movement of goods from one end to another? Okay, so you cover the documentation and the shipping of the consumer goods from one end to another. So you are concerned that the goods will arrive at the other end on time, because that's your job. Yes, so there must be some problems that you encounter there. So check it, find out what you can do to improve it. Or if there's any problem, what can you do? What can research do to improve your operations? Okay. Bye. Kevin is not here. Patrick is not here. Kevin. Where's not here. Tony, you are into real estate services. What do you sell? The structures or the buildings? Do you sell lands? You do rental servicing. Do you manage this property for somebody else, or are you the owner of the company?
That's for, we run this bit for corporation.
Okay. So it's a corporation.
Unilever.
What?
Unilever.
Unilever. You are part of the operations?
Hey, that bank.
So you rent out the building to Unilever.
Like example, you have the project of land or rent, or like sales apartment, sell office, or sell for rent. We have the same apartment, we have the airways, we have the operators.
We have three
Like
service.
hotel.
Three main service. First, we sell the apartment. Second, we rent the office, and then we manage the office also.
Okay, so you rent out the buildings for warehouses like Unilever, and then you rent out apartments,
Apartment, retail, office.
and then you also manage the office that owns the entire operation. Okay, now in America they call it property management.
We have the rent.
Property management because you have all these properties and you manage them.
Correct, property management.
Okay, property management. Maybe it's a new thing in here, but you can adapt the term property management. So think about the problem areas in your operations, and you might want to do research on a particular area that you're interested in, or that you meet some problems. Okay? Next, technology, camera, wow. Lionel is absent. William is here, telecommunication, the mobile phone. Is the mobile phone selling like hotcakes? The mobile phone. No problem with mobile phone? It's a network provider. Like Globe, Smart Telecommunications in the Philippines. It's like Vodafone. It's like AT&T in America. Yeah. So, do you have problems in operations, in management? You have problems with people, company, personal turnover, price problem because you're competing and the prices keep going down. You need to be able to compete, provide them with a more competitive pricing without selling off your entire company. Because now, you know, they have so many promotions. Networks have to sell together with the phones. They sell all the perks, unlimited call for 1 day. That's what the network provider provides. So you compete in that area. Do you have any problem there? Think about it. The research might be able to address. Okay, trading computer, Tracy. Selling, Tracy. Tracy, what's your interest in computer trading? What do? You sell? Do you sell to companies? Wholesale. So you try to go to companies, encourage them to buy your products. Like a whole company should change. I have a friend whose company in the US changes everything every 3 years. So they have already set up about 300, 400 computers ready for donation. Because you know, in 3 years, your computers can still be useful. But this company does not keep computers working for more than 3 years. So they changed the entire set of hardware laptops or desktops. And that's what you do. You go find the company.
Chứ là đi từ cái nguồn bán họ đúng như bạn phải đúng không? Họ tự thực hiện cái gì? They just sit there and talk to them.
Oh, you just have the store and then the clients come to buy. You know, in America, you have to go out, find the clients. You cannot wait for them to come to you. You need to be more proactive. When you say proactive, it's not there yet, but you do it anyway. In other words, if nobody is selling computers by going to companies large enough, who you think might have a need to change the entire hardware for the company next year, then you do it because that's a fresh market. Think about it. Instead of just sitting there, you keep the store going, but you start going out also, finding the clients who will buy your computers. Okay? Think about what you can do. Do not do it sometimes. You do it as a regular. You do it as a regular part of your operations. Do you participate? Do you participate in biddings? You know, when government agencies need computers, do you participate so that you provide the service? They don't do it here? Huh? Do you do it here? In the Philippines, all public utilities or public agencies, when they need something, when they need to buy something, they publish it in the internet. Like if Palawan State University needs 100 computers, I might need it, I will give it to the committee, and they publish it. And you as company will have to bid. The lowest bidder and the one who can provide after sales services more effectively and efficiently might win. And so therefore, you supply 100 computers. Isn't that right? Isn't that good? Instead of waiting for 100 people to enter the store, you go out. Okay, find the company that will buy you 100 from you 100 computers. Okay? Mike, are you the manager of the bank? What's your bank? C Bank? C Bank. Is it spelled as C-S-E-A? Huh? Can you write? South East Asian Bank. Oh, C Bank, because S-E-A Bank. Oh, that's nice. So you're the manager? The team leader of the bank. What do you mean team leader? What particular department do you handle? Credit. Oh, he's in charge of credit in the bank. Anybody who needs credit? Mike is there. Okay. So what do you do, Mike? What's the repayment percentage of those you lend credit to? You give credit lines, okay? Open credit lines to clients who apply. What's the repayment percentage? Do they pay? ask for collaterals. Like, you lend money but you get the title of their property where the construction might be done. In the Philippines, that's how they do it. Like, they lend you money from the bank, but you give the bank access to your property. This means that you give the property title with the bank. If you default on payment, the bank seizes the property. So you lose the property. Do you do it here?
Like when you have, in the Philippines, when you lend out the money and then the bank still own that property until you pay.
Yes. The bank doesn't, well, it doesn't really mean own because you still use the property, but the title is given to the bank. If you default on your payment, the bank reminds you and you're given enough time to pay what you have borrowed. Otherwise, if you persistently do not pay, time may come when they will just seize or get your property. Yeah, take over the property. Therefore, you lose it. The building and the land. Do you do that in your bank? Do you do that? Do you do that? No. Yes, you do that here as well. Okay, I think it's everywhere, even in America. They lend you money for your car, they lend you money for your house, they lend you money for travel, but you need to pay. Otherwise, something, part of your property will be taken over by the bank. Okay, so find some problems in that area. So design websites, Stephanie. Steph, you design you do web designing? So, is there any problem there? Do you get any challenge from doing it there or no problem at all? Okay. Competition is one problem. And since the internet doesn't seem to regulate, in the internet, you know that the internet is not regulated, right? Nobody checks on the internet whether the publications in the internet are correct or not. So you are left with so much information with you do not know which is to be believed and which should not be believed. So that must be a problem also. So Jolie is not here. Vivian, you're also in the back. Where's Vivian? Mary, you're also in the, you are in the, what's your job, Mary? You're also a manager? Yes. What's your industry? Real estate? Real estate? Huh? Education. Do you teach? So what part of education do you do? You administer?
Manager of student service.
Of student services. Oh, very good. You make students happy. That's a very big area of research. How do you manage student services? What are the services that students need? And which part of this do they actually avail of? You might have all the services, but do students avail of this? Or they just take this for granted? They do not even know what your services are. So you might want to study it. In other words, don't look far. Look at where you are. For Andrew, education also. Okay? Administration and marketing and contacts. Oh. So you're the ones looking for the right people. deal with people. You're concerned with customer satisfaction.
Mine was the writing and copywriter and design.
We are more, we are.
Now you are more into writing.
Social.
But are you,
Social network.
Social and we are.
what's also?
Social media.
Like, we use Facebook, Twitter, social media.
The media marketing and also
Media
PR.
marketing.
Okay, media marketing and PR. So you must have some problems that you can actually research on in that area. So what I'm saying is, you have your own areas of interest and expertise. We do not know that. You know that. You know that better than anybody. And therefore, you also have your interest. Look at this and use this to begin your research. Okay? So, chapter 4, we have a critical review of the literature.
Được phép.
Yes.
Ok, nãy giờ cô nói rất là nhiều thứ ha, giờ qua cái lớp đó này cho hiểu như vậy thôi. Là từ nãy giờ cô đã cái slide của mình là critical literature review á, tức là chúng ta thì cái nguồn của cái literature review chúng ta có những cái past research paper, những cái nghiên cứu từ trước đó, từ những cuốn sách, từ những journal, tạp chí này nọ. Thì các anh chị cũng biết là khi mà chúng ta bắt đầu làm một cái research, cái nghiên cứu các phải đọc rất là nhiều, cho nên nãy giờ cô mới mở các anh chị là làm từ cái ngành nào, interest của mình là cái gì, mình thích cái gì á, để mình đọc cho cái đó thì mình sẽ dễ làm cái nghiên cứu của mình hơn. Tại vì nếu như mà giả sử như một đứa làm về engineering mà khi nó đọc thì tài liệu marketing chắc chắn nó sẽ không có đọc được, nó sẽ rất khó hiểu và đọc rất là mất thời gian. Cho nên nãy giờ cô mới mở các anh chị liên tục là làm cái gì, làm mảng nào, focus vào cái gì để mình chọn ra những cái blog là từ cái con người của mình để làm research. Rồi tiếp có gì?
Okay, thank you. This is the process of doing the research. Now we did this already, observation and a discussion of the broad areas of research interest. You've already identified what might be a broad area of research. That's number one. The second is preliminary data gathering. You can do that by further observing or reading from the literature. Okay, that's the second step. The third is you have the problem area, which is broad. You have the literature review. And then when you have the literature review, you start focusing your problem, defining your problem. So you delineate. You start from a broad, a big problem area, and then slowly you limit it so that you have more focus. That's the third. Now after you do that, that's when you do the critical literature review. You read all the materials that you can, then you develop the theoretical framework, which is a deduction from out of those you have read. You identify variables, okay? You define variables and you label them. Number 6, you also generate the hypothesis. Number 7, identify the research design. What will you do? What kind of a study are you going to do? Number 8, you do the data collection. Okay? Then, number 9, hypothesis. When you do research, you analyze the data. Is the data enough? Is it in the confidence level of 0.05? Or is it confidence? The data, did it result in a confidence level of 0.01 or 0.05? So if it is lower than 0.05, you might not be able, you will have to reject the null hypothesis. There is no relationship, accept it. And then letter BA is research question answered. Have you answered the research question? If the answer is yes, go to report writing here. Then, if you have done writing, you do report presentation. That's when you defend your research. And then, apply what you have found in your work. That's managerial decision making. When you have done the research on a problem, and you got all of these through, then you're ready to make a decision that is supported by strong data. Even if you decide against your initial thought, then you are supported by data. And chances are you will make a good decision. So that's the last in the process. But you have to start from the broad. Imagine we're just in the number 1, number 2, number 3. Now we are in number 4. Critical literature review. Okay?
Thì cái này là toàn bộ cái quá trình của một cái bài research của mình ha. Đầu tiên á, thì để chúng ta muốn research cái gì thì chúng ta phải đi observe, tức là quan sát, đi quan sát thử coi là hiện tại nó đang có những cái vấn đề gì. Sau đó chúng ta sẽ làm một phép là gọi là chúng ta đi tìm kiếm những thông tin cơ bản nhất. Tại vì sau khi chúng ta observe xong chúng ta đi tìm kiếm thì ít nhất chúng ta phải biết được là cái vấn đề chúng ta muốn nghiên cứu á, nó có thông tin trên thị trường hay không. Có những cái chúng ta rất muốn nghiên cứu nhưng mà thông tin không hề có thì chúng ta làm được. Sau khi chúng ta đọc được một vài cái thông tin cơ bản rồi, chúng ta xác định được cái vấn đề chúng ta cần muốn nghiên cứu là cái gì, cụ thể luôn là cái dạng research question mà chúng ta làm. Sau đó tiếp tới bước thứ tư là chúng ta sẽ bắt đầu đi tìm kiếm tài liệu chính xác từ sách, từ cái journal, từ cái tạp chí, rồi những cái research trước đó người khác đã làm để thu thập những cái thông tin cho cộng đồng research của chúng ta. Rồi thứ năm là chúng ta sẽ chọn cái hình thức nghiên cứu của mình là cái gì, là qualitative, chúng ta sẽ đi phỏng vấn hay là làm survey. Rồi tiếp tới bước thứ 6 thì chúng ta sẽ làm ra những cái hypothesis, tức là những cái vấn đề mà chúng ta cần testing, chẳng hạn như ví dụ như là consumer satisfaction, sự hài lòng của khách hàng, hay là về cái chuyện là packaging mới là ảnh hưởng như thế nào đến doanh số của mình, cái hypothesis của mình test ra. Tiếp theo là research design. Research design tức là mình thiết kế toàn bộ cái khung sườn của người bài research của mình luôn, how đến tương lai nó sẽ như thế nào. Sau đó là chúng ta đi collect thông tin, tức là chẳng hạn như là trò chuyện với interview nè. Hồi nãy chúng ta xác định là chúng ta làm interview hay làm survey, bây giờ chúng ta bắt đầu thực hiện luôn, là bắt đầu collect interview, đi hỏi người ta, đi làm focus group, hỏi nhóm, hoặc là đi phát survey, phát cho ai, phát như thế nào, phát cho được sample của mình. Sau đó chúng ta gom toàn bộ những cái thông tin này lại rồi tóm hết vào SPSS hoặc là những cái hình thức nghiên cứu đã trích được được thông tin chúng ta muốn ra cái kết quả cuối cùng. Sau đó là viết report, đi design cho khách hàng, và cuối cùng là make decision cho khách hàng.
Okay. Thank you, Luis. Now, what's the purpose of a critical literature review? Think about this. It's not just literature review, but it says critical. In other words, you are very selective in the choice of the literature that you want to review. A literature review is a step-by-step process that involves the identification of published and unpublished work from secondary data sources of the topic of your interest. For example, in my case, I am doing right now a study on the health practices of indigenous peoples. I am not part of the indigenous peoples group. So I did number 2. I went to their community, talked to them. That's the number 2, preliminary data gathering. Before we could do the definition of problems and literature review, we had to go to their community. So the critical literature review intends to get the sources of data from your area of interest, evaluate this work in relation to your problem, and document this work. In other